You don't have a team of superstars. What you have is a bunch of adults still wearing diapers. Welcome to the 7-Figure Blueprint, where we share real-life stories of contractors just like you and dive deep into the steps they took to grow their business so you can too. My name is Garrett Bake. I've worked with hundreds of contractors, helping them scale their business to 7 figures and beyond. I'm at the point in life where I can openly admit that being a father is hard. I got 3 kids. They're now all over the age of 20. No grandkids yet. But I remember them growing up, and I remember how difficult it was for me, right? Especially when they're younger. I couldn't communicate with them. Or as they grew, they had attitudes, right? Or as they were teenagers, they didn't want to talk to me. And they went through all these different phases, right? And it was really difficult at times to be a father. Now, this isn't, a complaint fest. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how horrible it was. I love my kids, and I love the relationship that we have, especially now, right? But it's an interesting thing to think about when it comes to you and your employees and your business. Because let's take a baby, for example. What can a baby do on their own? Well, really not much of anything, right? You got to feed them. You got to burp them. You got to change their diaper. You got to put them to sleep, right? And you got to change them. Like all these different things have to happen for a baby to stop crying, for a baby to eventually grow and become more self-sufficient, right? Yet most of you are still running your business, especially you who are over 7 figures. You're still running your business like you have a bunch of babies or a bunch of small children, a bunch of toddlers, right? You're working your business or you're treating your business like an adult daycare. Let me handle that for you. Let me take care of that for you. Let me make that phone call for you. Let me send that invoice for you. Let me finish this job for you. And so you don't have employees. You don't have hard workers. What you have are adults in diapers. Ha ha ha. Funny. Yes. But let me ask you, what would you say to this? Okay. Do your adults in diapers, your employees, always waiting for direction? What about asking you what's next? How about giving you work that they think is too hard or too complicated and they can't figure out? See, when this happens, you know that there's a problem. And the problem is that you have hired people who are dependent on YOU. Now, how does this happen, right? We think that, if I hire more people, this will fix execution. Well, let me give you an example. There's an electrician that I work with, $3.5 million a year. Not small. He's hired 7 project managers over the last year. 7. Now, he doesn't need 7. He's just cycled through 7 project managers. Why was it? Well, because he thought that by hiring the person, it would fix the chaos. He thought by hiring the person, it would fix execution. He thought by hiring the person, it would fix the system. Except it didn't. Now, some of these people didn't belong there, and that was accurate, but there were a couple guys that had that potential, but they didn't want to be in that environment that was nothing but pure chaos, right? So we like to think that we want really good employees. Okay. But the problem is we're getting employees that need to be babysat because there's no systems, there's no process, there's no organization, there's no accountability. Think about it this way. Would you leave your child alone by themselves at home? Probably not, right? So what needs to happen, right? So the child needs a babysitter, okay? And then eventually the child gets to the point where they can stay home by themselves. Eventually the child gets to a point where they can drive the car. Eventually the child becomes an adult, right? Type thing. I want you to think about your employees this way, okay? If you're treating them like adult babies in diapers, they will always be adult babies in diapers. If you start to treat them like they deserve more, like they're capable of more, like they can do more, guess what? They'll magically do more. So let's go back to this idea that I talked about, right? And let's apply it. Let's go to this electrical contractor. $3.5 million a year, cycle through 7 project managers. What needed to change? Well, number one, and the most important thing was clarity around the role. That was it. Okay, clarity around what do I need to do and how do I need to do it? Number 2 was Okay, what's the standard? Okay, what do we need to do on every job, every day, or when it's done to know it's done? Are these photos? Are these, daily logs? Like, what are the things? What about the meetings and the meeting cadence? Meeting with your project manager or managers once a week, not going to cut it. There's way too many things happening, right? Bring them together. Talk about the problems. Empower them to find the solutions. Empower them to own the solutions, right? Scoreboard. I've talked about this before. If you don't have a scoreboard, the odds of you having success, not very high. Not very high, because what are you looking at? What data are you tracking? If you don't know, neither do they, okay? The last thing, one owner per outcome, okay? In other words, one person owns it. Somebody needs to own it, but one person needs to own it. When this electrician implemented these things, there was a huge shift. All of a sudden, the project manager wasn't coming to him with problems. He was coming to him with solutions. All of a sudden, the project manager had the data that they needed to make decisions with their foreman, with their leads, with their regular employees. All of a sudden, jobs were getting done on time and on budget, right? Now, I say all of a sudden, it wasn't an all of a sudden, right? But what I'm telling you is those were the missing parts. So if you keep treating your employees like adults in diapers, that's the result that you're going to get, adults in diapers. When you start holding them accountable, teaching them, training them, giving them the standard, right? Giving them scorecards, having them own the outcomes, things start to change. Now, this isn't a conversation about hiring. We can talk about that another day. This is a conversation around your mindset, around your people. If you're doing 7 figures and you want to reach 8 figures, it's not going to happen by you holding more hands and changing more diapers. The only way that that's going to happen is if you start to create clarity around roles and responsibilities. You start to train and educate and challenge your people. You hold them accountable. And one of two things is going to happen. You're going to train your people up. They're going to rise to the occasion, right? To those standards that you have. Or they're just going to leave. And that's okay too. They were never your people. If you want to have success as a contractor, you need to understand that teams and individuals fail because they have lack of clarity around what they're expected to do and how they're expected to do it. You might call them lazy, but the truth is there's no systems and there's no processes. So ultimately, it's going to fall back on you. Now, if you're ready to learn how to implement systems and processes and training so you can elevate your team, so you can remove that burden off of your plate, go to buildpro.io. We would love to help you create that custom game plan. All right, you know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1, off you go. Thanks for listening to the show. If you're a contractor doing at least $500K in revenue and still stuck wearing every hat, if your team exists but your systems don't, if cash shows up but clarity doesn't, and you don't know what to do next, go to buildprosystem.com and book your free business breakdown. We'll show you why you're stuck and, more importantly, how you can break free. So go to buildprosystem.com and schedule your free business breakdown today.